When athletes decide they want to get better at their sport, they usually start doing strength and conditioning in their own time. And that's literally one of the best things someone could do to improve at their sport. Pretty much every single combat sports athlete does some sort of strength and conditioning. And not just in combat sports, but pretty much in all sports. But the problem is, when an athlete who is newish to lifting starts their strength and conditioning, they usually don't have too much knowledge on how to lift properly. So they end up making some mistakes to where the workouts aren't as effective. Or even sometimes they do workouts that are actually even reducing their athletic performance. So one big mistake I see is when people decide that they want to punch harder. I work at the MMA gym and I was talking to someone who was trying to increase their punching power, and they were telling me that they started lifting weights and that they were doing a bunch of arm workouts and shoulder workouts. And that's a mistake a lot of people have when they're trying to improve their punching power. A lot of people who are new to combat sports thinks the power when you're punching comes from your upper body, and they think if they get their arms super strong, they'll just be able to smash people's face in. And of course, your upper body is super important for combat sports, and some of the power does come from your upper body, but the majority of your power mainly comes from your lower body with your legs and your glutes. And if you're a more experienced boxer or striker, you already know this. So if you want more punching power, it will be a better idea to prioritize your legs and your hips. But again, everything in your body needs to be strong. And in the description below, I'm going to link some of my videos where I talk about good leg exercises you could do. Another mistake I see is people thinking the power comes from their core. And that's true, but at the same time it isn't. Your core is extremely important in combat sports for the reason I'm about to mention, but also just your ability to take a body shot is also super important. Also, having a strong core prevents lower back injuries. But like I said in the previous point, the power when you punch comes from your lower body and then it goes through your core into your upper body and then into your fist. So the power doesn't come from your core, it just transmits the power from your lower body to your upper body. So when a lot of people decide they want to work out their core, they'll sometimes do stuff like just doing a bunch of sit-ups, which has its place because it does build up your abs to be able to take a body shot. My coach actually has me do sit-ups and exercise like that every single day. But you need to make sure you have some sort of stabilization exercises in your workouts so you could train the stability of your core so it doesn't leak energy when you're throwing a punch or when you're shooting a takedown. I have a video where I talk about this concept further and give more exercise that you could work out the stabilization in your core. And of course, I'll link that in the description below. Now, the last mistake I see is people thinking that lifting weights will make you slow. And like the previous point, that is true, but at the same time, it isn't, depending on how you do it. And I see a lot of people are kind of afraid to lift because of this reason. But one thing I should point out is Olympic sprinters, whose literal job it is to be as fast as possible, pretty much every single one of them lifts weights. And like I said before, the vast majority of combat sports athletes lift weights. Even though pretty much every single combat sports athlete lifts, even the ones who are known for being fast. If you do a lifting program like a bodybuilder, you will 100% get slower. So if you want to know how to prevent this, I have a video on 5 ways building muscle is much different as an athlete than if you're a bodybuilder. Also, I have another video where I just give 3 tips on how to not get slow when you're lifting. So these are just 3 mistakes I usually see people make. 1, thinking the power comes from your upper body and then only training your upper body to get stronger punching power. 2, thinking the power comes from your core and not doing stabilization exercises. And 3, people avoiding lifting altogether in fear that they'll get slow. Or athletes who are training like bodybuilders and are actually getting slow. And like I said, I'm going to link the videos that have solution to these problems in the description below. So if you're struggling with any of these, yeah, make sure you check those videos out. And like I said, if you have any questions about combat sports, bulking, strength and conditioning for combat sports, or just literally anything you think I could help with, just drop them in the comment section below and I'll try and get to them. I'm always happy to answer questions. And it also helps me understand what kind of things people need to know, which then helps me put out better content. So just always feel free to ask questions. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.